Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this afternoon's tasting. It's a Sunday afternoon, yet it's so noisy. So if there is noise in the background, please excuse us. It's not normal. That's why we decided to shoot this wine today. So there's silence, but so much for silence.
And I have to admit, now when we looked at this wine that George is going to open with the Corvin, primarily because he thinks I will polish the whole bottle if he doesn't. But when we wanted to cook, we thought about Merlot, and there's Merlot and there's Merlot. Unfortunately, it's the truth. Merlot can be made in copious amounts in a lighter style that's enjoyed, and the public just love the word Merlot, Merlot.
Yeah, I've heard some interesting pronunciations.
And then you've got Merlot that is really harnessing all the fine nuances of this grape as it was traditionally grown in France, you get Eurus and Natalie. There's a European
power couple in the wine,
absolutely, who comes out here and look at Elgin and say, hey, this is like a cool climate, and Merlot should and want to flourish here. And they did all the effort and research to see, is this a home for Merlot? And now, how Merlot can you go? I mean, it's you've got Mount Bullitt, that side of Shannon. You've got the Almenkerks, and it is where Merlot belongs. And this wine is so elegant, and it's really what Merlot wants to be. And people have to taste this and see it for themselves, or go there and grab a tasting. I mean, you know how incredibly hospitable the staff is, and they are, and chances are good that you will find them there in the cellar and probably serving the wine for you as well. So I have a lot of faith in them and in the wine, and subsequently the wine have fetched awards, and it's really celebrated.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've got to echo exactly what you're saying, but I remember quite a couple of years ago when we still had wine shows, and you'd go to the different properties that would display their wines, and when you came across the Almenkerk stand, there was just never any shortcuts taken.
Okay.
Attention to detail, I don't know if you noticed it, but I noticed it. The attention to detail that they put into their stand. If that's anything to go by, can you imagine the attention that Eurus does in the vineyard with Natalie, obviously, and from glassware to everything was just in place, and that stood out for me. And this one stands out for me. This one stands out for me simply because the mindset, and I think the pride that went into selecting these grapes, and people tend to look down on Merlot quite often.
Well, because there's so many happy-go-lucky Merlots out there, which is, I mean, there's a place for that too.
Of course there is, but there's a space for this too.
Well, if you look at the block at the farm, it's for those of you that don't know where Almenkerk is, you literally go over the mountain into Elgin, and the appetizer road, we'll call it the appetizer Viljoensdrift, I'm not sure. You turn down there just after Peregrine Farmstall and just continue on that road, and it will be on your left. And they've just got these sweeping views of the valley. And what's beautiful about this specific block, it's a single vineyard block, but they identified two zones that they treat differently within this block. And the one's named after one of their kids, their daughter Emma, and the other one is named Bro, after Eurus's brother. So even naming the blocks, they learn to understand and how it behaves and all its little whims, and that's part of the whole process. And when they bring it in to really look at viticulture, and then to really look how it wants to be treated in the cellar. So they make use of natural ferments and really honor the fruit in the wine.
Sure.
So you've got to go there and experience it to understand how meticulous they are about creating Merlot, and to put it out in the world and say this is South Africa, can be or is on par with its European counterpart, or where else Europe Merlot grows.
You were saying how meticulous they are with regards to creating a Merlot. I mean, every single wine in their stable, thought has gone into it.
Yeah.
And this is just over 6,000 bottles produced, if I'm not mistaken. But bella piano.
What? I'm not messing.
Yes.
There's depth. There's a lot of ripe red fruit.
Correct.
Some blue fruit.
Yeah.
And then it's got that slate character again, almost like that graphite character again. So it's almost, it's not a feminine wine. It's quite a, it's quite a commanding, statesque wine.
Say that word again?
Statesque. It's like when you stand in front of the mirror and you look at yourself.
Let's stick to the word. So I'm definitely picking up fruit. I'm picking up red fruit too, Sam. But then if you go past that, I'm getting that almost a very soft, delicate spice. But not in the sense of pepper or anything like that. More cinnamon powder. I'm picking up a little bit of quite floral. I don't know if you know, there's a rose called Zulu Royal that's got almost a blue, purple petal to it, and that's what I'm picking up on this wine. Almost a blue petal rose, which, and I said with all respect to the blue petal rose, but this just pops. I mean, this is
when it's in your mouth. It's the tannins is very much Merlot. It's got a very velvety, not that very dry puckering tannin of a cab. But when you swallow it and afterwards, there's this remnants of a very, almost like a gravelly kind of aftertaste. Can you see what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
There is a slight rustic edge to the wine that kind of just adds texture.
But correct me if I'm wrong, 2017 was a dry, cool year. So, I mean, these grapes really, spent their time in the vineyard and ripened very, very slowly. And yeah, exactly that, Sam. You're 100% right. And me, I'm a complete sucker with regards to cool climate reds. Being Cabernet Sauvignon, sorry, I don't know what that is. Being a Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot in this case, cool climate reds for me is always going to have a space in my cellar.
Yeah, they've got an ethereal quality about it, and I think this is what they wanted to accomplish, and they've done that. And hats off to both of you. We are avid supporters because it's what Merlot should be celebrated for.
Without a doubt. Go ahead, buy it, put it in your Christmas sock, put it in somebody else's Christmas sock that you really, really care. And although it's a 17 vintage, this one can be kept for many Christmases to come. Yeah. Congratulations.
I didn't even wait for Christmas.
No, of course you don't. Salute. Yours is finished already. Watch salute. Cheers, empty glass.